Hello, everybody, and welcome back into another trade reaction video here at the Hockey Writers. And we've got another one. It seems like these videos are coming out every day, but I've got a new panelist on the show here. Devin Little covers the Detroit Red Wings, which is a trade, it involves the Red Wings. So thanks, Devin, for coming on. And we're going to talk about a trade that we were talking about on the grind line. Tyler Bertuzzi going to the Boston Bruins. And they're getting a first-round pick in this deal, a conditional first-rounder. It is top 10 protected in 2024. But barring a complete collapse of the Boston Bruins, I'm assuming the Red Wings will have that first-round pick next season. So there is another pick, a fourth-round pick as well, I believe, included in there as well, too. Devin, what is your reaction of this trade? Like I said, we've been talking about it, but did you anticipate it to happen at the deadline and that a first round pick would be involved?
Yeah, it seems like we've been hearing trade rumors about Tyler Bertuzzi basically since the pandemic began. So for it to finally go down, it's nice that we can move on and start trade rumors about other players now, right?
Yeah, right.
Like we said off camera, I am surprised that the Red Wings actually managed to get a first out of this deal. I think if this deal went down last year, they would have easily gotten a first. He had a really good season last year. And this year he's kind of just been injury plagued. Still very much Tyler Bertuzzi, but when you're in and out of the lineup because of injuries, it's hard to get momentum going. So despite that, like you said, Red Wings were able to squeeze out a first round pick out of the Bruins, and regardless of the conditions on it, whether Boston completely collapses next year or not, a first round pick in 2024 or 2025, that's what this team needs. So that's what the Red Wings need. So and then on the other hand, I think Boston's getting a heck of a player. I think that it's kind of funny. A player I always like to bring up when I talk about Bertuzzi is Brad Marchand. I think Bertuzzi is kind of a Marchand light, basically. And now the Bruins have the OG Brad Marchand and Brad Marchand light. So I do not envy any team that plays the Bruins in the playoffs because they've got all the skill in the world, all the two-way defensive play in the world, and they've got two guys that will get under your skin like no other. So, and they got pretty great goaltending. So if you aren't convinced that Boston's a juggernaut, I don't know what else to tell you, because I think this only furthers their status as the team to beat in the East right now.
Yeah, when teams make moves like this around the deadline and they are ready, like Boston's running away with the President's Trophy. I don't know that how far away is another team from them. Adding players like this could potentially impact your top six, top nine. They got Orlov, who's playing in their top four. I believe he's playing in that range. At least he's pushed other guys out of the lineup. So would you be worried as a Boston Bruins fan that this could potentially disrupt chemistry on the team?
Potentially. I think that they did good work to do that Orlov and Hathaway deal early, to give them time to get acclimated to, the lineup, and disrupt chemistry as little as possible, basically. And then the Bertuzzi trade, I almost feel like is them maybe being a little overzealous and maybe, going a little bit too far. But at the same time, you're not going to have, even if Bergeron does come back next year, the clock's ticking. Same thing with David Krejci. He wasn't even in the NHL last season. So they have to do everything they can to get another championship out of this group. And if it means, going all in on a guy like Tyler Bertuzzi, and that makes sense for them, then, they got to do it. This is trade deadline season is when contenders do everything they can to give them as much hope that they can go on the run and get the Stanley Cup. And I think that if the Bruins are done, and it sure seems like they are, I don't think you can make the argument that they didn't give themselves the best opportunity to go on a deep run this year.
True. And the thing is if they don't, there's going to be some question marks. What happened? Yeah. Why? But yeah, they're in a good position.
Yeah, and that's just it. If they stand pat, then and then they lose in the first or second round, then what everybody's going to say. Why didn't they make moves at the deadline? They should have done this. They should have done that. And so it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't thing. But I think like I said, when you're in the position they're in, you've got to do everything you can to give yourself an opportunity to go on a deep run.
Yeah. Well, I asked this question just before we finish here. I asked this question on the last, when we talked about the Hronek trade. Are the Red Wings now selling? I mean, now they've sold off Hronek. They've gotten rid of Bertuzzi. Does this signal that Yzerman's saying, okay, I don't think we're going to make the playoffs. Let's do what we can to trade what assets he could get.
I would say that I kind of, regardless of where they were at, I kind of assumed that they were going to at least try to trade Bertuzzi because he's a pending UFA. It didn't sound like contract talks went really far with him. And like I said, there have been trade rumors about him for years at this point. So I just kind of figured that was going to be a move. I think the Hronek thing, I mean, that still catches me off guard. I'm still surprised that went down. And I think that maybe it was just a case of Vancouver put forth a really good offer, and Yzerman was like, all right, I'll take it. And I think that's kind of what I'm seeing here is, I mean, yes, technically speaking, they're selling. They traded 2 bona fide roster pieces and got draft picks. That's the definition of selling. But I also think that it's more of if the right offer's there, I'm going to take it. This team the Red Wings are still very much a team building for the future. They're still in the mix for the playoffs, but they're not where they were a week ago.
Yeah.
And so I think that, given just what happened over the last week, it just made sense for Yzerman to, continue to invest in the future rather than the present. I wouldn't write off the possibility that they kind of do some addition while subtracting. I'm thinking of like the Nick Leddy deal last year where they added Sundqvist and Wallman in that deal. So I could see a deal like that going down. I wouldn't be able to give you an idea, but something like that where maybe they just give other players an opportunity in Detroit. So yes, they are selling, but I wouldn't call them like the Blackhawks or even like the Coyotes where they're stripping it down. They extended Larkin, they extended Wallman, they extended Mata. That's not what sellers do. So I think they're selling for the right price is the answer here.
Yeah, no, that's fair. You're looking at, there's been a lot of stuff going around the Red Wings. So we won't take up time here, but stay tuned. We'll have a grind line episode talking all about this stuff, expanding and unpacking all the stuff that Yzerman's given us a bunch of stuff to talk about. So latest Tyler Bertuzzi to the Boston Bruins. So thanks, Devin, for joining me on a quick reaction video here. We'll have more, I'm assuming. I don't know how many more deals are going to come down before the deadline. We've already gotten rid of a bunch of the big names, but there's some guys still out there. Brock Besser is a name that I'd say probably the biggest forward still, it's rumored. You've got, I don't know who else. I mean, who else do you think could get? We didn't anticipate the Hronek trade or the one, so
I'm kind of the mindset right now where it seems like everything's on the table because I didn't see Hronek moving and he did, and I didn't even see Dmitry Orlov moving and he did. So it seems like teams are, if teams are willing to sell, they're willing to sell almost anything, and if teams are willing to buy, they're willing to spend big. So we could see some even more crazier stuff.
So stay tuned. We're on the eve of the trade deadline, and tomorrow by 3 p.m. Eastern, we'll see how many more trades come down the pipe, and if we can be talking about not just minor ones. I mean, we could get just talking about a bunch of bottom 6 players moving or stuff like that, but we'll see. Thanks for joining us. Another quick fire trade reaction. We'll see you next time on another one.